Hi, guys, and welcome back to No Deal All Grind, the podcast for independent artists building legacy over labels. So, this is the place where we talk about the real grind behind the music, the business, the pressure, the sacrifices, and the mindset that it takes to keep going when nobody is clapping yet. Because independence isn't just about owning your masters, it's about owning your discipline, your strategy, and your mental health, too. Today's episode is called Create or Crash, the balance between hustle and healing. And this one is important because in the independent music world, we hear a lot of things like sleep when you're dead, outwork everybody, if you're tired, you're not hungry enough. But here's the truth, most people don't talk about it. If you never pause, eventually your creativity will pause for you. And when that happens, artists don't just slow down, they burn out. So today we're going to talk about knowing when to push forward, knowing when to step back, and why recovery is actually part of a long-term success. Because the goal isn't just to grind hard, the goal is to last long enough to win. Independent artists are some of the hardest working people in the music industry. You are writing, recording, mixing, marketing, posting content, running ads, networking, performing, handling business, all while probably working a regular job too. That kind of pressure creates a dangerous mindset I call the hustle trap. The hustle trap says if I slow down, I lose momentum. But here's what actually happens. When you never rest, your brain shifts into survival mode instead of creative mode. You start noticing the signs. Songs feel forced, ideas stop flowing, everything feels like work instead of passion. That's not laziness, that's creative fatigue. And creative fatigue is one of the biggest killers of independent careers. Not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity, burnout. So signs you're heading towards a creative crash. Most artists don't realize they're heading towards burnout until it's already happening. But there are warning signs. Pay attention if you start noticing these. Everything feels like pressure. Music used to be your escape, now it feels like a deadline. You start comparing yourself constantly. Everyone else's progress feels like a reminder you're not moving fast enough. You create content but hate everything that you make. The joy disappears. You start overthinking every lyric, every video, and every release. You avoid the studio. That's a big one. When the place that used to give you energy suddenly drains it, your mind is asking for recovery. So, knowing when to push versus pause. Here's what a lot of artists get confused on because sometimes the answer is push harder. Other times the answer is step back and recharge. So, how do you know the difference? So, we push through when you feel resistance but still have ideas. You're procrastinating more than you're exhausted. You're afraid of failure. That's when discipline matters. That's when you sit down and finish the song anyway. But pause when you feel mentally drained. You're forcing creativity. Your life stress is bleeding into your work. That doesn't mean quit. That means recover strategically because recovery isn't weakness. Recovery is maintenance for your mind. So the myth of nonstop hustle. So social media glorifies nonstop work. But the truth is, some of the most successful creators work in cycles. Creation cycle, recovery cycle, creation cycle, recovery cycle. Even professional athletes understand this. Training days, recovery days. Because muscles grow during recovery, not during the workout. The same is true for creativity. Your best ideas often appear when you take a walk, drive somewhere, travel, spend time with people you love, experience life outside the studio, because music isn't just created from work, it's created from living. So independent artists face pressures that signed artists sometimes don't. You see every number. Streams, followers, views, comments, and that constant feedback loop can slowly drain your energy. So protecting your mental space becomes part of your business strategy. Here are a few habits that help. Limit comparison. Someone else's timeline isn't your destiny. Create offline sometimes. Make music that nobody hears yet. No pressure, no expectations, just art. Protect your personal life. Your identity can't be only your music career. You need balance because if your entire self worth is tied to the numbers, every dip feels like failure. So, the role of recovery in long term success. So, think about your music career like a marathon, not a sprint. Some artists blow up fast and then disappear, others grow slowly, then stay relevant for decades. Longevity belongs to the artists who manage energy, creativity, mental health, and discipline. Recovery helps you reset perspective, with purpose, recharge creativity, and sometimes stepping away for a week can give you ideas that fuel the next 6 months of work. That's not slowing down, that's strategic pacing. So, and that flows into building your personal rhythm. So every artist has a rhythm. Some people create best in bursts, others work best with daily structure. The key is figuring out your rhythm. Maybe your cycle looks like 3 weeks of heavy creation and 1 week of rest and inspiration, or maybe it's studio during the week, mental reset on the weekends. The goal isn't to copy someone else's grind, it's to build a system that keeps you consistent without destroying your passion. So, the real grind isn't just about working harder, it's about working sustainably. Because if you crash, the dream pauses. But if you learn how to balance hustle and healing, you create something powerful, a career that lasts, a catalog that grows, and a mind that stays strong enough to keep creating. Remember this: grinding until you collapse isn't strength, knowing how to last is. So, if this episode has helped you, share it with another independent artist who might need to hear it. Because the industry is tough, but nobody should have to navigate the grind alone. This is No Deal All Grind. And remember, you don't need permission to build your legacy, just the discipline to keep going and the wisdom to recover when it's time. I want to thank you guys for joining. Go forth and be blessed. I'll see you guys on episode 10.